Welcome to Flat Ride of the Week, Episode 9. Today we'll be having a casual discussion about various booster-type rides. Information on some of these rides was extremely hard to come by, even more difficult than some past weeks. So if we forget something or say something that's incorrect, please feel free to politely correct us in the comment section below. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so let's get started with the history of the Fabri booster.
Around 2000, Fabri introduced the booster. The earliest one I could find on the internet was from Dutch showman De Voer Verbeek. This model then got very popular on the European fairs because of their easy setup and transport. Only one trailer was needed for transport. The height of the ride is 40 meters. It has two gondolas, each fitting 4 people, making a capacity of 8 people per ride. This ride is also available as a permanent model with a tubular support. This part model is also available with 8-person gondolas, so it then has a capacity of 16 people per ride.
And then in 2002, Fabri introduced the Giant Booster, which debuted at Fantasy Island in the UK. It was 50 meters or 164 feet tall, had 2 gondolas at the end of each arm, each having 8 seats for a total capacity of 16 riders per cycle.
In 2007, De Voer bought what probably was the first Booster Max. The Booster Max is 55 meters or 180 feet tall, and it has 2 gondolas, each fitting 8 people, making a capacity of 16 people per ride. This ride is available as both permanent and transportable version.
And then in 2008, Fabri introduced the Junior Booster, which is 30 meters or 100 feet tall. Same capacity as the normal booster, so 8 people per ride.
And then the competition, we got a lot to cover here in the competition.
Oh yeah,
a
whole lot of competition to this.
In 2001, Zamperla and Soriani Moser made their version of the booster. It was called Turbo Force and it debuted on a German fair circuit. It's 39 or 127 feet tall, and it has the same capacity as a normal Fabri booster, so 8 people per ride. This model was available as both transportable and park version, and it's not in production anymore. A example of this ride is at Coney Island in Brooklyn. They have one of those. Then in 2004, KMG introduced the Speed. It debuted on the Dutch fair circuit with showman Ropers. The Speed is 36 or 118 feet tall and fits on one trailer for transport. Like the Fabri booster, it has a capacity of 8 people per ride, and it's only available as a transportable version. This ride became very popular in Europe and in the USA. Most boosters you'll find in the US are KMG Speeds. So yeah.
Alright, and then moving on to Funtime, and this is an interesting one. We have the Funtime Vomitron, which the name and the logo for this was just so early 2000s, it's awesome. Ranges in height from 40 to 60 meters, which is 131 feet to 197 feet. Debuted as competition to the Fabri booster. It's different than the Fabri model in that the gondola is supported by 2 arms, so like one on each side of the gondola.
So Funtime actually made another type of booster, the Chaos Panel. In 2002, they introduced it on the German fair circuit, and it was called Adrenaline Pur. Unlike a normal booster, it had 3 gondolas, each fitting 4 people, making a capacity of 12 people per ride. And it also had an extra small arm in the middle that rotates. So the ride didn't last long in Germany because it had a lot of technical difficulties. It then got sold into Austria, where it traveled for not a long time. Then after Austria, it went to Australia, where it got modified. So instead of 3 gondolas, they reduced it. Then it only had 2 gondolas, so it had 8 people per ride. And it disappeared in Australia, and it's unknown what happened to it. And in 2012, Funtime introduced a new generation of the Chaos Panel with Black Mamba at Wiener Prater. The Spark version only has 1 gondola fitting 8 people, and in 2018 they made a transportable version with 2 gondolas. In 2019, the king-size booster made its debut at Wiener Prater. It's some kind of a new generation of the Vomitron, It is 60 meter or 197 feet tall, and it has rotating gondolas. The gondolas fit 4 people each, so it has a capacity of 8 people per ride.
And recently, Six Flags over here in the U.S. actually bought 2 of these, one for the Great Escape and one for Six Flags St. Louis. Unfortunately, the one at Great Escape seems to be caught up in bureaucracy. It may not end up opening there. But the one at St. Louis is going ahead, and I believe the gondolas on the Six Flags ones do not rotate. That's correct, right?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. And then moving on, we have the only American manufacturer of the booster type rides that I'm aware of, and that is Gravity Works, which is now defunct. They were one of those early 2000s super amusement companies that were sort of like S&S back in the day, where they just kind of make anything extreme and all that. Their site's still up. It's hilarious. They made the Skyscraper was their first model, which was the most popular booster type ride in the U.S. Originally opened with a capacity of just 4 riders per cycle. That got bumped up to 8 and then eventually 16 with riders on both ends of the propeller arm. The first one opened, for at least the first one we could find, opened in the year 2000 at Dorney Park. It was then relocated to Valley Fair in 2004 and placed inside Wild Things Helix. I know a lot of people have said they should put a flat ride there. Well, they had a flat ride there. It was a Gravity Works Skyscraper. And then, interestingly, it was actually relocated to Cedar Point in 2008, where it operated until 2017 in Challenge Park next to Magnum. That's a very interesting thing. A lot of these boosters types rides that are in the U.S. are an upcharge. A lot of the ones that are in Europe are not. The Gravity Works Skyscraper was permanent or transportable. Came in just about any height the park or showman requested. Interestingly, they advertised but never actually sold a version with a second arm on the opposite side of the support that would spin in the opposite direction to the first arm, which they advertised as leading to a 120 mile per hour combined speed when the 2 arms passed. You can identify these rides from their European counterparts by looking at the restraints. Pretty much all the European models have over-the-shoulder restraints of some kind or some variation. And these models used a 4-point harness or something like that to that effect, where it's just kind of a nylon strap instead of an actual hard restraint.
And then moving on to Mondial, they made a lot of this type of ride, not completely, but let's go. In 2012, they introduced the Turbine. It is 62 meters or 203 feet tall. It has 2 gondolas, each fitting 10 people, making a capacity of 20 riders per cycle. The gondolas are able to rotate. Sadly, the one I have here in Belgium, the prototype called Turbine, it doesn't rotate the gondolas anymore for whatever strange reason. So yeah, I haven't experienced the rotating gondolas on the prototype, sadly. Then Mondial also made the Capriolo. We mentioned it in this video because it's some kind of half booster. Well, we didn't mention it in the inverting rotating pendulum rides because the gondola can't rotate from the normal Capriolos. So yeah, let's just go over this. The Capriolo debuted in 2002. There were 3 prototypes made. The difference between a prototype and a normal one is that the prototype is taller than the normal ones produced after the prototypes. The prototype is 52 or 170 feet tall, and the normal Capriolos are just 48 or 157 feet tall. The Capriolo has 1 gondola fitting 8 people. The operator can activate the gondola brake during the ride, so it has a very intense ride experience. It is said that you can get more than minus 4 Gs on these rides. It's very intense. Then around 2005, Mondial introduced the Furioso, which is basically a smaller version of the Capriolo. It is 35 meters or 115 feet tall, and it has the same capacity as a normal Capriolo. And then in 2010, the Capriolo 10 debuted on the French Fair circuit. It's some kind of more modern version of the Capriolo, and It has a rotating gondola fitting 10 people, and it's 47 meters or 154 feet tall.
And as you can tell with especially like the Capriolo, say it?
Capriolo.
Capriolo, thank you. Some of these rides are very hard to categorize, so some you may think would be better in one video than the other, but it's just how it ended up happening where the Capriolos are getting mentioned here. Yeah, it's just too hard to classify some of these rides, so yeah. And then moving on to other facts.
In 2007, a gondola of a Fabri booster, a normal one, so the 40-meter model, a gondola broke loose and crashed onto the ground at a fair in France. Unfortunately, this accident killed 2 people. The other 2 people at the other side of the gondola that crashed were seriously injured. The people in the gondola at the other side of the arm were stuck at around 40 meters or 130 feet for 2 hours. Firefighters needed to get them out manually. This booster is actually still operating under the name Toxic. After the incident, all Fabri boosters needed to close and needed extra inspection.
Yeesh, that's crazy. And I'd never even heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a very... I don't know what it was.
It's not very well known compared to a lot of other accidents. Anyway.
Then another incident on a booster in 2015. A gondola of a KMG Speed once got stuck upside down at 40 meters too. It got stuck upside down for over half an hour at a Dutch fair. There were 3 people in the gondola, and 1 person passed out while hanging upside down for so long. But he recovered. So. And also a lot of incidents happen because workers from the ride go in the ride area while it's operating, so they get hit by the arm. KMG is currently producing a Speed 32. This ride will be 65 or 213 feet tall, so it will be the tallest booster kind of ride. It uses the same structure as the XXL but slightly bigger, as you can see in the concept arts.
Alright, and I think that about covers all we have to say about booster type rides. They're a very, very popular ride in Europe, not so much over here in the US. They seem to be a little more popular with Six Flags of all people buying them. And they're definitely sort of a thing of the early 2000s here in the US, but they may be making a comeback. They're also an upcharge almost every park in the US, whereas in Europe they're free with admission in many cases. But yeah, I think that about wraps up this video. Do you have anything else to add?
Nope.
Alright, well thanks for watching this episode of Flat Ride of the Week, and we'll see you guys next week.